have done it again. I have found another most interesting person in the world. Dr. C. Coleman Brown is a renowned plastic surgeon, and he has been featured in New York Times, Capital File, DC Modern Luxury, and The Washingtonian, where he was featured in articles as well as voted one of the Washingtonian magazine's top doctors. Oh, look at you. When he is not one of DC's top plastic surgeons, maybe you can find him heli-skiing or skydiving or doing something very adventurous. Dr. Brown, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, okay, a lot of people are doing medical tourism and they're traveling out of the country because they're seeing like, oh, if I go to this country, I can have some procedures done at a very kind of maybe lower price or faster. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's a very interesting topic, and it could be very dangerous. But before we get into that, you have to understand that there are internationally renowned plastic surgeons all over the world. And some of our best plastic surgeons are in other countries. However, the problem is the economies are a little bit different. And so having surgery in a location where the cost is cheaper certainly seems attractive. But as we may have heard in recent news, there was a tragedy in Mexico with some folks who were traveling for medical tourism, which didn't end well, unfortunately. And so that's always the concern. We pride ourselves here in the United States of having pretty rigid testing and rigid training so that those criteria are pretty standardized across our field. And you can't really guarantee that that's going to be the case in other countries.
I see. Well, if they don't go overseas and maybe they're going to go to Bruno Brown, tell me about your practice.
Right. So we've been in practice now. We're going into our second decade, or actually finishing our second decade, I should say.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. My partner and I met when we were training at the Cleveland Clinic, which was wonderful, and we decided to plant the flag and go into business together. We run a full-service aesthetic and reconstructive plastic surgery practice. We're based in Chevy Chase, Maryland, but we're also in Virginia, and we're also in Glen Burnie.
So tell me a little bit about some of the procedures that you guys do.
Right. So most of the procedures we do are either cosmetic procedures, which tend to focus around pretty much head to toe. We do a lot of breast and body work. We do a lot of face, eyes, rhinoplasty, things like that. Neck lifts, right? Those of us are starting to need some of that. And then we also do some reconstructive work for breast cancer patients.
That is amazing, and I'm going to get into that later. But how did you yourself become a plastic surgeon? Did you always want to get into this specific field, or how did you get to be the Dr. Brown of Bruno Brown?
The Dr. Brown, right. So my father actually was a Dr. Brown, and he's an orthopedic surgeon. So I had it in my head that I wanted to do some sort of a surgical field, like working with my hands. And once you make that decision, then you have to kind of hone it down. Plastic surgery gives us head to toe options. There's plastic surgeons that do pediatric, craniofacial type congenital things, and there's folks like us that do a lot of aesthetic or cosmetic surgery and reconstruction. And so you have a litany of options that you can choose from. And so plastic surgery really offered that for me.
Well, I had a hydrofacial over there also, and it was amazing. Your entire staff is just really the best. What are some of your favorite procedures to do?
Right. So if you talk about in-office procedures, certainly things like Botox and fillers and all are wonderful, or like they're nice procedures to do in the office as far as that goes. But surgically, we're surgeons. We like to be in the operating room. One of my favorite procedures to do in the operating room is fat grafting. I don't know if you've heard of fat grafting. It's sort of the original twofer. We take fat from one place and we put it in another. And that could be...
So like everyone's dream.
Yeah. So it's, you know, I mean, you hear about things, celebrities and stuff putting it in a specific location, typically on the backside, but we put it at a lot of different places.
Just amazing. So Dr. Brown, when someone wants to come and see you for their procedure or to talk to you or ask questions, where can they go for more information?
Right. So the best place to start is either calling us. Phone number is wonderful. That's old school, but it's a good way to go. But the website has a ton of information. There's a plethora of stuff there. There's all kinds of detail on the procedures themselves. And they can drill down in all the different things we offer, from like the hydrofacial and the skincare side of things to all the surgical procedures that we do.
Awesome, Dr. Brown. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.